From NBC News in Washington, this is Meet the Press.
That's it for us right now. Nightly News is next, and we'll be back at 6:30.
Good evening.
Thanks for watching the area's #1 Sunday night news. Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
The all-out assault on the last Taliban stronghold. In the north, talk of surrender. In the south, the stage is set for a final battle as allies close in on al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden.
We're going to get him out of his hole. Sooner or later, we'll get him.
In New York, a day of prayer by those who lost loved ones in the American Airlines crash last week. And the light show on display last night around the world.
Oh, whoa, 1, 2.
The best and brightest in decades.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. U.S. and Northern Alliance forces are closing in on the Taliban in Afghanistan tonight, preparing to mount major attack on the last territory still controlled by the Taliban. But U.S. officials say the war against al-Qaeda's terrorist network and Osama bin Laden is far from over. In the southern stronghold of Kandahar, the Taliban is making a final stand. In the northern stronghold of Kunduz, Northern Alliance leaders claim the Taliban are willing to surrender under certain conditions. We begin our coverage with NBC's Nora O'Donnell at the Pentagon. Nora?
Good evening, John. Tonight, U.S. officials say that Taliban is in disarray and that Osama bin Laden is on the run and in very grave danger of being captured or killed.
American B-52s unleashed their heaviest bombing so far on Kunduz today, the last pocket in the north controlled by the Taliban and al-Qaeda. The Northern Alliance has the city surrounded, ready to strike today, giving the Taliban one last chance to lay down their arms. This commander said the Taliban had offered to surrender on condition that foreign fighters loyal to Osama bin Laden would be spared. But he said they would die. In Washington, equally strong sentiments.
Well, there's only one kind of surrender that we're interested in, and that's unconditional surrender.
Many Taliban fighters have been captured. These men were caught trying to cross the border into Pakistan. They were interrogated and then taken away, their fate unknown. As the U.S. moves into its 7th week of bombing, al-Qaeda and Taliban command centers across Afghanistan are in ruins.
Al-Qaeda has got to be broken up, its leadership has got to be found, and Osama bin Laden has got to be found.
But the target of the largest manhunt in history still eludes capture, with Taliban officials denying knowledge of his whereabouts.
I don't know exactly where is.
But top U.S. officials said intelligence reports suggest he's still in Afghanistan and now boxed in.
I can assure you that it's getting harder for him to hide as more and more territory of Afghanistan comes out from under Taliban control.
And is replaced by more U.S. special forces in the urgent search for bin Laden.
Tonight, a top administration official said the CIA is playing a crucial role in the hunt for bin Laden, with the CIA now using paramilitary units on the ground to track him down. John?
And Nora, we understand that authorities are rounding up more al-Qaeda suspects in Spain tonight?
That's right, John. Tonight, a Spanish magistrate has accused 8 men of involvement in the September 11th terrorist attack and is holding them as members of Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network. John?
NBC's Nora O'Donnell at the Pentagon. Nora, thank you. Amid all the war and death in Afghanistan, there are now striking signs of rebirth in Kabul, the capital, which has known so much misery. This as political pressure increases in the search for a new government. NBC's Jim Maceda has our report.
In Kabul, life after the Taliban is looking better, especially for children who have never seen this. Today, for the first time in 5 years, Kabul TV was back on the air, a mix of news and entertainment banned by the Taliban. And with a female anchor, leader Hazimi can now show her face in public.
I feel very happiness, and I think life is now enjoyable for me.
Theaters reopen tomorrow. Kabul University may soon follow. But the billions in aid needed to rebuild Kabul will depend on a political deal that is yet to be thrashed out. To that end, a UN Special Envoy is here to pressure the Northern Alliance, made up of ethnic minorities, to form a broad-based government.
To be able to convene as many of the Afghan party groups and individuals as possible.
And late today, in a move seen as a big concession, the Northern Alliance, having insisted on meeting in Kabul, which they controlled, agreed to meet abroad, probably in Western Europe, but without the Taliban. The Northern Alliance, which captured the city last week, is accused by the UN and others of dragging its feet on a deal, while its troops filled a power vacuum in Kabul. But its army so far has been used sparingly to provide security. Tanks and heavy armor remain outside the capital, while inside, few see the Northern Alliance as occupiers. I'm at ease with the Northern Alliance, says this shopkeeper. They came and secured the city, and I feel safe now. But the Northern Alliance presence does raise old fears that it will turn, as it did in the mid-1990s, against its ethnic enemies, making this city another battlefield even after the Taliban. Jim Masada, NBC News, Kabul.
Now to the war on terror in this country. In Washington, no word yet on whether the suspicious letter sent to Senator Patrick Leahy contained anthrax. But with bioterror now a fact of life here, Homeland Security has become an urgent priority. Here's NBC's Dan Loki.
I think we're okay.
America on alert. In Chicago today, a coordinated disaster preparedness drill to test emergency response procedures at 11 hospitals.
Will you take her up to recovery room?
The drill was originally scheduled for September 11th, and the events of that day remind all of the importance of being prepared. In Los Angeles last week, a drill to prepare for a large-scale bioterror attack, the release of Black Plague bacteria at a convention hall. But as important as disaster preparation has become, the greater emphasis continues to be on disaster prevention. Mid-sized cities like Peoria, Illinois have upgraded their emergency plans. In cities large and small, extra security at a variety of sensitive locations, like this CDC lab in Colorado, where dangerous germs are studied.
The safest place in Fort Collins is right here in this building.
Everywhere since September 11th, Homeland Defense has become a top priority and a budget buster because the extra expense was not anticipated. The National Governors Association estimates that post-September 11th security expenses could total as much as $10 billion, putting additional strain on state and local governments already hurt by the weak economy. Westchester County, New York, for example, used to have a $40 million rainy day fund.
We said we will save it for a rainy day. Well, it's raining, so we are using it.
And now, in addition to hiring and wage freezes, a property tax hike has been proposed. Because of anthrax concerns or attempts to foil future attacks, it's estimated that America's cities have increased public safety spending by nearly $700 million since September 11th. Baltimore's costs are so high, there is concern about the possibility of layoffs. Legislation to provide federal help to cities and states is stuck in Congress under the threat of a veto. At a recent town hall meeting televised statewide in New York, Homeland Security Director Tom Rich promised the U.S. would win the war on terrorism.
You will see the federal government, the state government, and the local government working together to provide the greater security for our homeland.
A nation coming together to fight terrorism and coming to terms with the high cost of being on high alert. Dan Loki, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And there's word tonight that the budget pressure states are feeling is hitting education especially hard. In a report to be released tomorrow, congressional analysts estimate that states face a budget shortage of more than $11 billion next year because of the economic downturn. The concern is that some improvements that schools have made could be at risk. Congress is trying to determine how much financial assistance to provide and under what circumstances. When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, Memorial Day for victims of Monday's plane crash. Flight 587 came apart in midair Monday shortly after takeoff. All 260 on board were killed, as were 5 people on the ground. NBC's Virginia Cha has our report.
On a tranquil fall day next to the ocean, in a park a mile and a half from where Flight 587 went down, thousands gathered to mourn. The Dominican national anthem, followed by the American. Symbolic of two communities, one where the plane went down, the other in the heart of New York's Dominican population, coming together in prayer.
We shed rivers of tears day and night for never having the opportunity to share a last hug, a kiss, a smile, to say goodbye. I'm sorry. I love you.
The flight was headed to the Dominican Republic. Most of the passengers, Dominican. Each of their stories heartbreaking. One woman who lost her father on the flight lost her firefighter husband in the World Trade Center attack. The service bilingual. The grief universal. The service was intended to provide a small measure of comfort in the midst of the grief.
After our earthly course is run, we will be reunited with those we love, when all tears will be wiped away and all sadness will cease.
And at the close of the service, family members head to the crash site for a private tour in search of solace in the place where their loved ones were lost. Virginia Cha, NBC News, New York.
Among those who perished aboard American Flight 587 was U.S. Navy Petty Officer Ruben Rodriguez, who served aboard the USS Enterprise, an aircraft carrier just back from the war zone. His story from NBC's Soledad O'Brien.
He was so proud to be a Navy man. A sailor on board America's largest warship, the Big E, he was always trying to recruit others. Ruben Rodriguez was born in the Dominican Republic, but his wife says he loved serving the United States of America.
He loved it very much. He loved the planes, the ships. He just loved it. That's what he did.
Ruben refueled jets on the Enterprise deck. Night and day, long shifts up to 18 hours. One of the greats, named for the purple uniform he wore on deck.
He knew it, breathed the job, was one of the best that we've ever had in the business at doing it. And, you know, he was just a great supervisor and a great sailor all around. One of the best sailors, period, on the ship.
Last Saturday, the Enterprise returned to its home port of Norfolk, Virginia, after conducting the first airstrikes in the war on terrorism. Thousands of family members came out for the homecoming. Ruben's sisters couldn't wait to see him.
You went to see the USS Enterprise being in the port. What was that like? I was saying, he's right there. He's just got me. I'm going to get my brother back. I'm going to hug him. I'm going to see him.
Ruben was thrilled to be home, but perhaps even more excited to take the first possible flight to the Dominican Republic to meet his vacationing wife and sons and bring them back to New York City.
As soon as he met my sister and me, we hugged, we kissed, and he said, where's my ticket? Where's my ticket? And what time is my flight? And what time is my flight? I said, well, hold on. I got your ticket here. I got your ticket here.
He spent his last day alive visiting family in New York and insisting on a tour of Ground Zero.
He said to me that his captain every morning gave a speech to the crew and said that never forget this moment when the towers collapsed. So he wanted to go there and find out in person what he was fighting for.
Ruben Rodriguez survived a war, but did not survive a short flight to his native homeland. His sister Rebecca, who booked his last flight, is devastated that his final trip was in her hands.
His captain brought him safe, and you know, the rest of the trip was on my hands. So, if I could have stopped him, I'm sure I would do it. But I didn't know, you know, nothing like it was going to happen.
Still grieving, the Rodriguez family struggled with their decision to attend today's memorial service. One family among the hundreds searching for answers. Soledad O'Brien, NBC News, New York.
2 sailors from the USS Peterson are missing tonight after a ship suspected of smuggling oil from Iraq sank while they were aboard to conduct an inspection. It happened in international waters in the northern Arabian Gulf. 6 other U.S. sailors were rescued. 10 of the 14 Iraqis aboard were found alive. It's believed the Iraqi smugglers overloaded the ship. The Americans were there to enforce UN sanctions on Iraqi oil sales put in place to punish Saddam Hussein for starting the Gulf War. When NBC Nightly News continues, family holidays and America's fear of flying. Busiest travel period of the year. That's not true this year, largely because of safety concerns. Here's NBC's Joe John.
Oh, you stole that. At Washington's Union Station today, Alexis Waller and family heading home to New York. Instead of flying, they tried for seats on the sold-out 1 o'clock Amtrak Acela Express.
We are not flying right now because of what's going on. We're definitely nervous about it.
A sentiment apparently shared by many Americans. As the busiest travel period of the year approaches, millions face a dilemma: fear of flying versus the desire to get home for the holiday. These are troubled times for the nation's airlines. In the 2 months since the terror attack, passenger traffic has dropped sharply. Despite grounding hundreds of planes and cutting thousands of jobs, the industry, by one estimate, is losing $500 million a week. Desperate for a rebound, the airlines began promoting travel bargains with an eye toward boosting the travel business in November and December. Thanksgiving week is traditionally a busy time. The number of air travelers has been steadily climbing over the past 5 years. The chances that last year's record will be broken this year are slim.
We're expecting airline traffic to be down about 25 to 30% this Thanksgiving season. But don't forget the airlines are flying about 20% fewer flights, so the planes are still going to be crowded.
By whatever means, it appears there will be fewer travelers this week, 6% fewer by one estimate. Most of that percentage is the result of projected airline travel down 25%. A poll by Newsweek magazine out this week reflects the depth of concerns about air safety. 37% of those questioned said they are less likely to fly in the next 12 months than they were before the terror attack. Just 35% say they are confident in the safety of airplanes. And even fewer, only 17% expressed confidence in airport security. Complicating the issue, a zero-tolerance policy on security breaches like the one in Atlanta Friday. Highly publicized event. Just last night in Phoenix, another incident. The pilot of a United flight requesting a military escort before landing after a flight attendant found a sharp foreign object on a food tray. The general state of alert at airports these days is attracting few complaints.
The more security, the more, if we're here 3 hours, that's all right. As long as we're secure and they've checked everybody, we're okay with it.
Travel jitters appear less severe on other forms of transportation. Train travel this week is expected to be only slightly lower, just 1%.
The travel pie seems to be shrinking a bit right now. People are jittery. There's concerns about the economy. The economy is having some effect. So to have a ridership level that's pretty steady, even in this holiday period, we think is pretty good.
But a larger percentage of Americans than ever before is expected to make long drives, determined to have Thanksgiving reunions, which are certain to have special meaning this year. Joe Johns, NBC News, Washington.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, an early morning light show which was truly out of this world. Finally, Mother Nature provided the perfect conditions for many Americans to see a spectacular light show in the sky last night. The annual Leonid meteor shower was the best and brightest display in decades. A thrill for amateur stargazers and scientists alike. In their own words tonight, NASA astronomer Tony Phillips and NASA astrophysicist Mitzi Adams.
The best way to see something like this is just to be lying down in a comfortable place, staying warm, and looking up. I'd say that we're having a good show in Huntsville, Alabama. Oh, whoa, 1, 2, one after the other. This year, in addition to being in the right place at the right time, we had a favorable moon. So the moon actually set last night about 7 p.m., and so we had no moon in the sky.
We had dark skies unless we had light pollution. All meteor showers, or at least most meteor showers, are caused by the passage of comets close to the sun. And as the comet gets closer and closer to the sun, the ices melt away or vaporize away, leaving behind dust trails, and these stream out over time.
The reason such small particles can create such vivid streaks of light is because they move so quickly. The Leonid meteoroids fly through the atmosphere at about 160,000 miles per hour, so that's 200 to 300 times faster than a rifle bullet moves. So it's the speed of the meteoroid, rather than its size, that causes such brilliant streaks of light. Started gazing this morning at about 4 a.m. and returned home at 6 a.m. On average, I was seeing a meteor every 3 to 5 seconds. Living here in the snowy mountains of Central California, I have a dog sled team consisting of 14 Siberian Huskies. They are extraordinarily quiet tonight, and it may be because they're spellbound by the meteor display.
Two NASA skywatchers, Mitzi Adams and Tony Phillips, in their own words. That is NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. Now here's Maria Shriver with a preview of what's coming up tonight on Dateline.
Thanks, John. Coming up on Dateline, the inside story of a superpower confrontation and a Navy pilot's desperate fight to save his crew. First in the air, then on the ground, facing Chinese captors.
There were a lot of threats and some pretty tense moments, having them stand up screaming at me and threatening my family and my crew.
Details you haven't heard in a profile of courage coming up on Dateline. John?
Thanks, Maria. Tom Brokaw will be here tomorrow. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York. I'll see you next weekend.